Welcome back to the Sports News Analysis YouTube page, where I'll be previewing and predicting every game here in Week 16 of the NFL. So be sure to subscribe to my page here on YouTube to get all of my videos delivered directly to your inbox, and check out my other videos as well on my page. What I think is the marquee matchup of Week 16 in the NFL, the San Francisco 49ers will travel up to Seattle to take on the division rival Seahawks. Both of these teams coming into this game in good playoff position standing. We'll battle it out here the last 2 weeks for the NFC West division crown. The 49ers come into this game in first place with a record of 10-3-1. The Seahawks just behind them at 9-5. The 49ers coming off of a very impressive win last week on the road in Foxborough against the Patriots, beating them 41-31, a game that they led 31-3 at one point. Second-year quarterback Colin Kaepernick had 4 touchdowns in that game, and what I thought was a very impressive performance by Kaepernick, and also a very good game plan by the 49ers coaching staff. And I thought from a defensive standpoint, the defense got off to a very good start, had some trouble there in the middle, and then finished well. So I thought overall pretty good performance from the defense as well, forcing some turnovers, and look, doing what they had to do to get a win, a tough win on the road. As far as this game goes, you're going to have Kaepernick going into what I think is an even tougher environment than Foxborough, heading up and playing in Seattle for the first time. There's a reason why both of these teams, but we're talking about San Francisco right now. The reason why San Francisco averages 160 yards a game on the ground, okay, is because they have their offensive line is littered with first-round picks. They have a stout running back in Frank Gore. Whether the quarterback is Alex Smith or Colin Kaepernick, they're committed to the run, and all the passing plays they execute, or all the planned runs for Kaepernick. The reason why all of this can work is because they have that fundamental commitment to the run, and I look for that to be sort of how the early part of this game goes. Who can establish the run first? Who's going to put less pressure on their inexperienced quarterback? Because if there's one thing the Seahawks have, it's obviously a very good secondary, which is a rarity in this day and age in the NFL. I feel you can run on the Seahawks defense. C.J. Spiller went over 100 yards against them last week. So I look for the 49ers to come out fully committed to the run on the offensive side of the ball. As far as Kaepernick goes, makes me a little nervous him going up to Seattle, but I just love what I saw from this kid last week. And I was all for Alex Smith starting. There's no turning back to him now, because outside of that game in St. Louis, Kaepernick has played pretty well as the starter here. The San Francisco defense, allowing just over 90 yards rushing for the season. I think they're going to try to put the onus on Russell Wilson to beat them. Russell Wilson's worst game of the season, again, it was earlier in the season, but his worst game of the season was down in Candlestick against the 49ers. I think the familiarity they have with Russell Wilson and the Seahawks will help. How is that rushing defense, of the 49ers? Are they able to contain Marshawn Lynch? I think that'll obviously be a key matchup in this game, because Marshawn Lynch, looking at things from a Seahawks standpoint, he's really, I think, what has allowed Russell Wilson to sort of flourish this year, because, I know Russell Wilson has played great, and he's looked fantastic, better than anyone could have thought. But the bottom line is, when teams prepare for the Seahawks, they're worried about Marshawn Lynch in that running game first and foremost. And I think that that's exactly where the 49ers' focus will be. So how do the Seahawks come out? Do they maybe pass a little bit more early to try to back those front seven of the 49ers off a little bit? How do they game plan? Do they try to slow down and maybe run at Aldon Smith with the running game to try to get him to not be able to pin his ears back and get to the quarterback? Because Aldon Smith is a tremendous player. And then obviously when you add in all those linebackers for San Francisco, I could really see them giving Russell Wilson some trouble. But just when you think Russell Wilson is going to come out and have maybe one of those rookie growing pains type of games, like a couple weeks ago against the Bears. He comes out and surprises you. But I think in this game, though, I give San Francisco a little bit of an advantage. The only way I see the Seahawks winning this game. If you're a Seahawks fan, one of two things has to happen for you to win this game. I think both have to happen. One, Marshawn Lynch has to go over 100 yards and control the line of scrimmage. And two, the Seahawks defense has to force Colin Kaepernick into multiple turnovers. We saw him in St. Louis, whether it was the errant option pitch, whether it was the backing up 17 yards into the end zone for the safety. We've seen Kaepernick, I don't want to say self-destruct, but make mistakes in big spots. We've seen him be really good in big spots like he was last week. So can the Seahawks turn him over? Can Marshawn Lynch dominate that 49ers front seven? I think one of those two is likely to happen. I think they will frustrate Kaepernick, but I just think this San Francisco defense is too strong. I think that they're one of those teams you get a consistent effort out of them every week. I think they'll be keyed up to play in this game here at Seattle. And this is a very tough game to pick because there's different variables. It should be a fun one to watch. But I like San Francisco -1 on the road up in Seattle to beat the Seahawks and to clinch the NFC West in the process. And remember, the 49ers are still in play, obviously, for the byes as well in the NFC. They're still in play for the 1 and 2 seed. If Atlanta wins on Saturday, San Francisco will know where they stand, and they'll really be battling it out with the Packers for that 2nd seed. Again, I could really see this game going either way, but my gut is telling me San Francisco and that defense will be able to do more than enough to stop Russell Wilson and the Seahawks offense. And obviously with my pick, I'm hoping Colin Kaepernick doesn't self-destruct. So give me the 49ers -1 on the road. Be sure to check out my other picks here. And as always, check me out on Twitter at SNewsAnalysis. Thank you.